Hey fellow woodcutters, TopSaw here. Today we're going to draw this wood project in Fusion 360. It's a little bit different than the last two because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 components. We do this in the wood shop to teach joinery. This right here is a miter joint. This right here is a rabbet. This is a butt joint down here, and this is a dado. You want to take this wooden block, lay it down on a piece of paper, trace it, transfer all of the measurements to the paper, and then we'll draw it in Fusion 360. So as you look down here, this right here is to a depth of 1/4 inch times 2. And the reason why it's times 2 is in this rabbet, that would be 1/4 as well. And then down here I have 3/4 x4. That is saying that all 4 boards are 3/4 thick. Overall length right here is 6.5. Overall height 7.5. I can find pretty much every length off of this drawing right here. Make sure you have a title block in the bottom. And again, this CAD drawing in Fusion 360 is going to be a portrait, not a landscape. So let's go ahead and start drawing this. So we're drawing this block right here. I'm going to think about how I'm going to draw this first. I'm actually going to draw this block flat and kind of keep it placed down. I'm going to draw this plane here in XY and extrude it in Z. I am not going to create a sketch. I'm going to create a component. So this is going to be component number 1. And remember, you always want to start here. I'm in the file management system on the left. In fall of 2022, I'm going to create a new folder. I'll call this folder skill board number 3. Then I'm going to click in that folder, and all my drawings are going to be saved in there. After I've done my file management, I go and I double check my settings and make sure I'm in inches. Okay, so now I'm going to go up here to create. I am creating a component. Again, this is going to be 4 components in a single part. I'm going to do all those drawings in the same drawing. Okay, so I'm going to create a new component. This is component number 1. Okay, and then I want to draw it in the YX plane. So now that I've created a component, I go create sketch. And in that sketch, I'm going to draw in the green and red, meaning the YX plane. So I'm going to snap there, and I'm going to draw this rectangle here. So I'm going to create a rectangle. I'm going to snap at the origin. I'm going to go over 6.5 and up 3/4. Click, enter, pull the roller ball down, center it up a little bit. After I'm done drawing my rectangle, I need to come over 1 inch to draw in that data right there. So I'm going to go create a line. I'm going to make it a construction line. I'm going to snap at the origin. I'm going to come over 1 inch. So I'm 1 inch over, and I'm going to go up to a rectangle. This is not a construction line, so I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to snap at that endpoint. It is 3/4 inch wide. So 3/4 inch wide and 1/4 inch deep. And then I'll click. And there it is. Right click, OK. Now I'm actually done that sketch, and I'm going to extrude this out. So I'm going to hit extrude. I'm going to pull this board out. You can see the data is missing. And the width of this board this way is 2.5 inches. So I come out 2.5, enter, and there's my block of wood. And then I'm going to draw all my components kind of in place, and then I'm going to hold them together under assemble here. So next I'm going to draw this board up right here. So I'm going to draw that sketch here. But I'm not going to just create a sketch. I got to create my second component. So go create, new component. This is component number 2. And then I go back up here to create a sketch. I want that sketch to be on the bottom right here. I'm going to draw the base of this rectangle. So I'm going to create a rectangle snapping from there to there, 2.5 by 7.5. I'm all done. Finish sketch. And then I'm going to extrude this rectangle up. I come up 7 inches and then enter. Using the roller mouse, I'm down. I'm still in component 2. I'm going to create another sketch to cut that miter. So I'm going to go create a new sketch on this plane right here. I'm going to draw a line from this corner over here. I don't actually know how long that is, but I could just make it too long, whatever that is, tab. 135, enter, over to trim and trim that off. I'm going to cut that off. So I'm going to finish that little sketch, single line. I'm going to go to extrude. I only want that. I don't want to extrude that way. I want to cut it off that way. I wouldn't cut it past. I would keep it right at the endpoint at 2.5. Enter. And now I'm done my second component. Okay, now that my first two components are drawn, kind of see how they're looking. I'm going to draw my third component next. I'm going to do this one. This is just a rectangular block. I'm actually going to draw this rectangle first and then come up, I think, 6.25. So again, I create component first. So new component, it's component number 3. I'm going to draw it on the top of this block here. So create sketch. I want on the top of this block, so right there. And then I'm going to draw a rectangle from here to here, so it's 2.5. Tab, and it's 3/4 wide. Enter. That's actually it for that whole sketch. So I finish the sketch. I'm going to extrude. So I'm going to use my extrude key here, grab this, and I'm going to extrude it up 6.25, 6.25. Enter. And actually, I'm all done there. And then I got to draw my fourth component. If you're looking in the bottom corner, I could do it a couple different ways. I think I might just draw this little rectangle first. So then I'm going to go create new component. This is component number 4. I'm going to create a sketch on the top of this right here. And then this is only going to be a rectangle from here to here. Remember, this rabbit right here is 1/4 inch deep. So I'm just going to extrude that up 1/2 inch. So I'm actually done that sketch. Now that I'm done with that, I go to extrude. I click that. I'm going to extrude it up 1/2 inch. And still, this is my fourth component. So I'm going to stay in this fourth component and do a bunch of different sketches to bring it over. And you'll see that my components will all be separate things. So now I'm going to create another sketch, and I'm going to do it on this plane here. And I'm going to create a rectangle from here down here. So it's going to be 2.5 and 0.75 now. Enter. I'm going to finish that sketch. I'm going to extrude this sketch, this, and this. I'm going to drag them over here to 4 inches. So that's it right there. 4 is correct. I'll hit enter. And you can see as I go to the house or my home view and move it around a little bit, that it turned into a single component still. So I need to do one more thing. I need to draw, a triangle here and then extrude it out. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create a new sketch. It's going to be on the front plane here. It's going to be this triangle here. I could do it with a line and go from that point. Let me zoom in a little bit to that point. Right click, OK. And then I'm done with that sketch. And then I'm going to extrude this stretch back in here, the 2.5. I'll hit enter. So now I'm all done. I've drawn all 4 of my components. But if I were to grab them and move them around, they wouldn't be stuck together. So I need to constrain them. I'm going to do that with an assembly. Under assemble right here, I'm going to actually constrain them as built joint. I'm going to constrain this part to that part. So that's constrained. Okay. And then now I'm going to assemble as built joint this part to that part and that. Okay. Assemble as built joint this top to this side. Okay. And then assemble as built joint this side to this bottom. Okay, and I think I have them all. See how they're all stuck together now, so that's what I want. So I'm all done drawing my part and the 4 components. I could look at them all and see that all my joineries well. I could hit appearance and make it a material I want. I could close it and file, save it, or I could just go up here, file, save as. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to call this skills board 1. No, I'm not. Skills board number 3 in the file, skill board number 3. So now that it's saved, now I'm going to go back to design. I'm going to create a drawing from my design. And then what kind of page you want to make it. This one we're actually going to do an A-size paper, but in a portrait format, so 8.5 by 11. Okay, and I'm in inches there. Here's my paper with the block in the bottom. This is a 1:4 scale. That looks a little too small. Let me try 1:2. That looks pretty good. My front view. Then I'll go up to projected view. What do you want to project? I'm going to project that up. I'll project it over this way. Maybe a little more room. And then my ISO up here. That's going to be too crowded, so I think I'll do my ISO in a different scale. So I'll just hit enter. I could move that up a little higher. These have to line up perfectly. And now that I have these drawings in here, I'm going to put in dimensions. I want the bottom dimension, that dimension, a little crowded. I'll put in that height there. Certainly want the depth of that data somewhere like right there. Make sure under the text box you create notes. Start it on there, make sure you're logged in. It has your name and date on it. You probably want to ISO in the upper right hand corner. You're going to need a few more dimensions than that. But that should get you drawing. Thank you.